Because with so much happening around us, with all of this information overload, don't ever underestimate that there are many, many people who don't have their goals or probably frustrated as to where they are currently. And they need some sort of encouragement, direction, rewiring to get to where they're supposed to be. And that's the role you play. Sometimes one word, one line you say will change a person's life trajectory. Then you've got to be doing that. In my paper, I can say anything I want to say to you. But in my energy field, like you said, I have to be me. And the greatest lesson of all that I can leave anyone with, the number one lesson, be yourself. It's okay if you are disliked for who you are. Better that than be liked for who you're not.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Massimo Podcast. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so. By doing this, you help us to grow our channel and make sure that we reach a bigger audience. And I'll make sure I will use the power that you're giving me to bring a guest that you always wanted to hear their perspective, the guest that they are giving you value and lessons that you're really seeking for. And without further ado, let me introduce the guest of the day. He's one of the sales experts. He done an amazing job uplifting companies and improving their strategies to impact the bottom line. Ladies and gentlemen, today I had an interesting guest coming all the way from South Africa. He's none other than Paul Naidoo.
Thank you, Mo. I'm very privileged and honored to be here in your podcast. Mo's motivator is very powerful and has been growing exponentially. I feel very privileged to be in your studio today, and being interviewed by you is an absolute honor. So it's thanks to you. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for such a really amazing way to kick off this podcast. Paul, you did a lot of years into sales. Now, my question for you, what makes the people who just click this thumbnail, what makes them listen to whatever you would say today?
Well, one of the most important things with being in sales is that it has a lot of pressure. Nobody chooses in school, I want to be in sales. You actually end up in sales most often than not. I have found absolutely very few people in life who's ever said in school, I want to be in sales when choosing their career. By virtue of coincidences or what happens in the world, we end up in sales. We don't choose it. Sales is one of the most high-pressured jobs you can ever find because you're constantly in the spotlight to produce the numbers. These numbers impact your family directly. The large amount of salespeople are on commission packages, which means you're going to get out what you put in. Not only that, is you're expected to increase those numbers consistently. You start at ground zero every month. Every first of the month, when you get back to that office, you're on ground zero, and you've got to work your way up again. You're only as good as your last sale. It starts all over again. So what makes a difference? Firstly, I believe that in reality, I impact the bottom line, not only of the organization, but the actual salesperson whose earnings increase consistently. So they do what they're supposed to be doing, which is feeding their families.
I love that. What makes you, first of all, what makes you go into sales, first of all? Because I want to begin to understand your perspective and how did your career started?
Well, I'm going to make the story as short as possible, but if you want more of it, you're welcome to ask me questions. I am from a place called KwaZulu-Natal, which is a province in South Africa on the eastern side. We're right next to the Indian Ocean, or we border that, and there are sugarcane fields. I am from the lineage of Indians who traveled to South Africa to plant and cut sugarcane. So my grandfather planted and cut sugarcane for the farmers as a laborer. My dad had to do that based on no education, etc. And I went to school, fortunately, because he sent me to school. And being one of 8 siblings, he could not pay for any studies after we finished our schooling, which is the high school. And when I asked him for money, he said to me, well, with the kind of money I earn, there's no way I can pay the university fees. By the way, I qualified to enter medical school. And when he showed me his payslip, it was my very, very first exposure to poverty. Then and there, I made a defining moment. It was my defining moment to say to myself, I may have grown up in poverty, but I will not let poverty grow in me and my generations to come. That defining moment forced me to take other actions. That means helping him try and find a job, and we would go from farm to farm. At that age, I thought he would get another job that would pay a lot more. I was young. I didn't know about salaries. But one day we were waiting at the bus stop, and he said to me, "Son, could you please tell me why you want to become a doctor?" I was angry, and we had no money. We were 8 kids. And I said to him, "Well, the real reason I want to become a doctor is to have more money. That's as simple as it can get. Why should I want to be anything else?" And he said to me, "Son, that's the wrong reason for being a doctor. You should not be a doctor if you want to make money. Doctors go and heal people." I said, "Well, then I want to do something that makes money, but I don't have the education." He said, "You don't need education. I'll give you an example. If you can sell 1 million bananas and make a profit on each banana, then assuming that was $1, and you've sold 1 million bananas at $1 profit, you've become a millionaire." And it sparked my interest in sales. So as soon as I finished school, anyways, just to rewind in the story a bit, 3 months after he told me that, he was murdered on the farm that we lived in. And my mother had to then go and work as a domestic at the farmer's house in order to keep the house and raise 8 kids. So I am the fourth of the 8 and the second brother. And as soon as I finished school, by some good fortune from the Almighty, I found myself heading to Johannesburg. And when I got to Johannesburg, which is our economic hub, the only job I could get was sales and commission. And I made a decision that I'm not going to let my siblings suffer, and I don't want my mum to work as a domestic. So I worked really hard to be the best I could ever be. The first 3 months was an absolute disaster. It was a disaster. I earned 0. And then I decided I'm going to have a good look at this and really make a success of it, because I'm not getting any other job. And I decided to study sales. And when I say study sales, I particularly wanted to study the source of sales. And it came to me that the Almighty sent all of his messengers on earth as salespeople. They would walk around simply selling what is known as the word, the scripture. And if you look at the followings today, those are the greatest salesmen who ever walked in the world. So I thought to myself, this is definitely a divine profession. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that other professions are not divine. We need them all, right? We need the pilot. We need the train driver. We need the skipper. We need the engineer. We need the lawyer. We need the doctor. But where God equalized all of us, he said that with the very same dinar, 10 dinars that you'd walk into Carrefour, any other profession would walk in with the same 10 dinars and get exactly the same thing as you. So you can decide that you want to be really successful in this, because then if you found those 1 million people, which are my other children, that which you're looking for, I've put into their pockets and their bank accounts. They're simply instruments of mine, and so are you. They are servants of mine, and so are you. So start serving, irrespective of the product. Connect with people, and that exchange for value will take place so easily. What you've got to build is a self-confidence. I felt like a voice was talking to me from inside of my head, but I knew that was heavenly intervention. And from that month on, within the next 4 months, I was a top salesperson in the entire group, the youngest ever, and still have what they call the floating trophy, and subsequently grew from there. I spent about 15 years in sales, and then 25 years ago, I left and started what I do now, which is I focus on helping salespeople consistently achieve and exceed their targets, because I know they feed their families with that.
Wow, that's so fascinating. It's almost like 4 decades of working in sales
Absolutely.
and giving back to the community of sales.
Absolutely.
That's really, really amazing. Now, I want to jump off, first of all, and first and foremost, is one of the important things that I want to dig in is, and I feel there is a huge gap here in the community, is how to sell yourself.
Well, we want to turn that around, so we use the word sell so that many people know what we're talking about. But does Emirates sell to you? Does Carrefour sell to you? No. They optimally position themselves for you to buy from them. An incredible salesperson, a phenomenal salesperson, does not go around selling. It is called optimal positioning. When you position yourself correctly, for example, if you walked into Carrefour and you find products positioned correctly on the shelf or the refrigerator, you have a likelihood of buying that. we too as people can optimally position ourselves for people to buy from us. The entire thing is based on, you could choose the product, but it is how do you take that product out there so that you positioned as the trusted advisor, you positioned as the subject matter expert, you positioned as the person who would help solve the problems they go through. You're the person who would remove the pain. You're the person who will take care of it after it's happened, and you make yourself accountable. Now, people want people who can do business with them because they will buy from them. Nobody wants to be sold to.
Exactly. So in your own words, what are the main principles to sell yourself?
Number one is the discipline. It's very, very important to have discipline. Without discipline, it doesn't work. It's like going to gym, right? You got to have discipline. What is that discipline? Practice. What is that practice? Getting to know your customers really well. Studying people, studying markets, studying competitors, studying your products, studying competitive products. So you've got to have the discipline to acquire a lot of knowledge so that you are a subject matter expert and trusted advisor. If you went to a doctor and for that matter you hurt your ankle and he doesn't know much about ankle and the bones in the ankle and cannot tell you exactly what to do, or if he reads the x-ray, doesn't know what decision to make, he isn't a subject matter expert and shouldn't call him a doctor. So you put the discipline into acquiring knowledge every day. That's really important. And then you practice how you would get your message across. Never before have we had such an infinite amount of resources to get our message across. In fact, the Almighty is very, very clear. There is no shortage of resource for you to be successful in anything you want to do. It's a matter of you taking action and using the right resources to reach the people. It's that easy. But if I said to you, let's go to gym every day because we want to have nice big muscles, then many people will put that discipline in. Other people who do so many other things, track events and playing football, they have the discipline. Why is it we as salespeople don't have the discipline of one thing? Practice how you are going to speak to somebody. Practice how you would pass that knowledge. Practice how you would listen to them. Practice how you would ask them questions. Practice how you would make them understand the need for your product in their life to uplift it.
Well said. So what are the other principles rather than discipline in your perspective?
There's no real principle that has to be a hard and fast rule. It's exactly like how, Mo, from the time I've met you, you're an incredible people's person. Your energy, your enthusiasm. Every morning when I see you, the manner in which you greet, I saw you in action at Toastmasters. You simply connect with people. The connection, yes, one can call it a principle if you want to call it a principle, but how do you connect with people? When you speak to people, you look at them directly in the eye. You smile at them. You stop. You talk to them. You take the time to ask them how they are. You're not interested in anything else except for that human being. After that, we can talk about something. If I needed you to help me put up my PowerPoint slides, then you certainly will. But you're not the kind of person who will rush in to help me with my PowerPoint slides, even if I asked you to do that. You'd first make the time to connect with me every single time you see me. Now imagine if someone's knocking at your door every day trying to sell you a vacuum cleaner and you don't have carpets, but he connects with you every day. The likelihood is that you are going to connect him to somebody else who has carpets. The entire universe is made up of connected dots. From the smallest atom to the largest parallel universe is made out of a connected dot. Everything is connected. The fact that we can't see it doesn't mean it's not connected. You can't see the oxygen in front of you right now, but it's there. So if we use the same alignment that the Almighty has provided and constantly connect with people, people will buy from you. So if people know that Mo is a motivator and Mo helps people with specific topics and it takes them to the next level, guess what? They're going to phone you. Their parents are going to phone you and say to you, Mo, we have young people here, our children, our teenagers, and they need to have some values. They need to know about life. They need to have some experience. They need to get some focus. And you're a young man. You can relate to them so easily. And that's because they love your personality. They love your character. They love your integrity, your authenticity, your sincerity. So there isn't any principles that we need to follow. Although in many, many ways you are right. Let's assume that when we're talking academically about sales, there is a principle called closing the sale. But, I would like to call it more of an art than a principle. And closing the sale is a matter of getting incremental commitments. And these incremental commitments will only come to you if people like to commit to you.
Mm.
It's not like people don't like you or don't like your product. It's simply that they're not interested.
They're
And
not
why is people not
interested.
interested is that you don't meet or exceed any expectations.
Mm.
We can't avoid the fact that people have expectations. We were talking about your wonderful car. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention the brand, but I was driving your wonderful Lexus, and it has so many cool features, and it's such a beautiful car. Okay, but now people expect the car to be a certain standard, a certain type of ride with luxury, all of that. And when you're talking about your car with the passion and enthusiasm of how it would benefit my family and I from a temperature point of view, from a comfort point of view, and we could easily travel a long distance and not feel tired, you're not talking to me about just a Lexus. You are fusing the Lexus into my lifestyle. You're showing me that the Lexus is only a means of an exchange for value that I'm looking for. It just happens that it is the Lexus that you're selling at the moment. But the reality is that what am I buying? I'm buying the comfort for my family. I'm buying the convenience. I'm buying all of the luxury that comes with it and all the features. And it's an expectation. We'd like to say we shouldn't have expectations as human beings, but I do expect a car that my family will fit into, that has the right air conditioning for the high temperatures, that has the smooth ride with no noise, the luxury, all of the features that I could use my telephone, Bluetooth, etc. And I can buy a Lexus from anybody. What is the differentiator in you? One of the simplest things that you may never ever think about is that you look at me straight in the eye and talk to me. So when you say to me, this air conditioner is going to keep the car cool and it's the quietest air conditioner in the industry, now I can trust you by the way you're looking at me and what you're saying to me. And you're saying to me that I feel for your family and you're traveling from here to Saudi. There is no way I'm going to compromise on that. So you've got into my lifestyle as opposed to almost what we say, praising your own product. Our biggest problem we have with salespeople is that we get so absorbed in our product knowledge and possibly the brand and possibly the company behind us that we forget to connect with people. There's a massive confusion and illusion regarding relationships. The relationship that we talk about has to be broken down into trust levels. And those trust levels have to be discussed. You use a trust level to connect. If I had to talk to somebody about sound, the fact that you have got the experience and you're demonstrating your capability on doing a sound check and setting up the sound correctly for this podcast instills a lot of confidence in you. If I was at a function right now, speaking at a venue like a hotel, and there was some person there who provides sound, they come and put up a couple of cables and a microphone in front of you and switch it on. Do you honestly think that I will buy a sound system that I need for me to record on? Absolutely not. But he will claim that he knows sound. The difference is he knows how to switch it on and move a couple of buttons so that it's loud enough for the audience to hear. In my case right now, you're doing sound engineering. That makes you a subject matter expert. The trust in you is incredible. Now I can buy sound engineering equipment anywhere I want to. What differentiates everybody else from you is the way you connect with me.
And this is how you think that salesperson should have the ability to connect with their customers.
Absolutely.
And have the discipline to practice their techniques and to not to sell the product and instead of to have a common ground of understanding their values and matching these values with the customers.
Mo, you've hit the nail on the head. When there's shared values, example, you're a family man, and you'd want your kid to travel in absolute comfort, safety, being able to move around if they need to move around. You want to carry the bag in there. You want to make sure that it's spacious. Guess what? You would understand another family man. We have shared values just on that. And even if you didn't have a family, but you come from a family, and in your family you've had a history of traveling in various cars, you would actually recall the situation where you were younger, assuming that you were 16 years old and you wanted Bluetooth to play music from your phone, and you saw that I have teenagers, you'll highlight the Bluetooth factor because my teenagers need to be comfortable in the car. They may not be as comfortable as you and I because it has leather seats, but they'll be absolutely comfortable because they can play the music from their phone, right? So it's different strokes for different folks. All the dots that we connect get connected at a different level. Perhaps you're connecting with me on the basis that it's a luxury car, it's smooth and it doesn't have any noise. And the aircon is very quiet. You're connecting with me on that. But the moment you see my teenage children, you start talking about Bluetooth, the phones and their music. And they're very excited about it. They don't care about how comfortable the car is. I'm driving it. They don't care about how cool the aircon is. If they're going from here to Saudi, one thing they want to do is listen to music. So the different dots connect. And when you connect those dots, and in this case of Bluetooth and music, you're working on a shared value. With me, you are particularly talking about the 3.5 V6 engine, which might be very, very attractive to me then, and it's quiet. Do they care about a 3.5 V6 engine? No, they don't drive. That's not the dot you connect with them. Their value is Bluetooth music.
Exactly. I love how you put it through. But from your experience, you mentioned at the beginning of this podcast that you've been training for over 25 years, specifically sales.
Yes, look, my regular clients also call me to do leadership, AI, general motivation, specific things, that are technology driven. I'm very much of a technocrat also. So I use a lot of AI to do things. I help them with what we call data-driven decision making, conflict resolution. And recently I'm working a lot on the future skills that AI will not be able to make redundant. And it's a very important concern for parents. Me being a parent myself and a grandparent, I think it's a big concern. What are the jobs that our youngsters would undertake in the future? So a lot of my talks are based around that. And within the corporate organizations I serve in South Africa and other parts of the world, they are helping the staff who are being passively stressed about what would my child do, because at work you're exposed to all of this AI. And you're supposed to use AI at work. Now, as a parent, you're asking yourself, if I'm using all this AI at work and I've got children, this is going to replace jobs, right? I'm sending my children to school. I have to send them to university. What jobs are they going to get? So I speak about the future of work based on what exactly are the skills. Mo, do you want to guess what one of the skills are that will never be made redundant by AI?
If you can share all of them, not all of them. For the benefit of the guests, I'm trying to get the maximum out of them. And you're just telling me one. I'm like, come on, we're in a podcast, Paul.
Now, when I say would you like to know, one of them I said, that's a starting point.
At least the one you like the most.
The one you have. I was going to say the one you have.
Storytelling.
Up front, the storytelling, the communication skill. You get it? AI cannot communicate like you. It may have really good language and words, and some people who's probably listening to this saying, nah, he doesn't know AI words are better than my words. It can have better words than you. It'll never connect with somebody. And AI can come here and greet you. Good evening, Mo. It is an absolute pleasure to be at your podcast. How are you feeling? Already cold, right? So you may just have words like, hi, Paul, it's great to have you in the podcast. But the way you're saying it and the way you get to that point where I can feel your energy, because AI cannot give off a vibration, but you can give off a vibration combined with your language. So one is communication skill. Number two is problem solving. Number three is what we call being critical in your decision making, or critical thinking, that kind of thing. We're talking about things like where you're able to creatively and intuitively come up with things that are new that people could use to better their lives. So it's thinking around all of that. And of course, the fifth one is being the best prompt engineer that ever can be. Now, that again is how you use language, right? What are the prompts? People are very surface-driven in the prompts. It's the elite few who are doing in-depth stuff who know how to prompt it. So AI prompting is going to be an important thing, and anything related to AI. So the skills go on, and it goes right to the fact that you can have, if you start landscaping gardens, AI cannot do that for you. AI may even produce a robot that could come here to landscape your garden, but that robot may not be able to stand on unstable territory and fall over, and it wouldn't listen to you if you have to make any changes because it'll be pre-programmed. So there's no such thing as that would be out of jobs. There'd be new jobs created that we need to be ready for. And one of the most important things is that the population of people is constantly growing. When you're serving people and you're serving thousands of people, whether you walk around selling them bananas or whether you walk around making sure they have burgers and hot dogs, the bottom line of work must be very, very clear. We should not fear work. We should fear not having the ability to earn an income to support our family. So whether I earn the income by working, whether I have the skills to work or not, or whether I have the skills to monetize who I am and what I can do, that counts more than anything else. When you rock up at Carrefour, they don't ask you what work you have. They ask you for the 10 dinars you owe them for what's in your trolley, correct?
Absolutely correct. They don't really focus on that. That's really really it's a really nice way to put it. I don't want to mention that name again because it's kind of boycott for what's happening in the Gaza.
Oh, sorry, it's one of the ones I've seen here, but I also see the other one, Lulu,
Of
right?
course, yeah.
We can mention Lulu very much.
Lulu.
Yeah.
But actually, we can't talk about any one of them because none of them are sponsor of this podcast.
Well, we should get them. I think one of the people we can approach is Lexus. Why not? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
We can play
idea.
this podcast to them and tell them about the things that I've been describing about the Lexus and get them to sponsor it. Why not? You have to be bold and daring. This podcast and the absolute purpose of this podcast is one for the contentment, satisfaction, and the difference you make for people. But the other one is to absolutely make sure that you can monetize it, not because it's some sort of absolute must, but you deserve it, and you've got to be deserving. The Almighty provides you gifts in different forms, and this is your trailer of gifts. So I'm very happy to say more that you want me to say about Lexus, and send this video to whoever is in charge of Lexus and say, well, if you sponsor the show, there's going to be a lot of talk on Lexus.
That's a really good way to put it that way.
Absolutely. We have the Lexus logo right behind us. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. One of the trophies, actually. It
Yeah.
has. Yeah, it's this one.
Look, I personally like the Lexus a lot. There's no doubt
Really?
about it. In fact, the hotel I'm staying in at the moment and traveling to the training center, every day we're driven in one of these large Lexus, the big one. What do they call it? The
LS.
LS.
LS. Yeah, the biggest.
It's
the
really
longest one.
it's really super comfortable. What an enjoyable ride first thing in the morning to work. Yeah, so why not? I think we should do it. I'll support you. And if you want me to say more about it and even write a motivation around it, I'm more than happy to. Why not make Mo's motivation or your podcast, get to the next level? Why settle for just being where we are right now?
I'm having that. There's a huge ambitions. I didn't mention that, but something I'm working behind the scene that we're gonna blow it away. I'm sure of it. It's just like to have the right characteristics, and I often see that there is lots and lots of podcasts are coming in the market, which is fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but I think the essence of driving a conversation is an essential as a podcaster. And I think one of the things that, in my opinion, that I wanted to be stand out of the crowd is basically when I train my communication. And you had witnessed one of the things I had that I
absolutely and thoroughly enjoyed it. and like I said, Mo, I sat there looking at you, so proud of you, and I said, I pray to the Almighty that it's a blessing for you and that I have the privilege and honor, inshallah, that I'll be sitting one day in a room where you'll be talking to a crowd of people and making a difference. And I know it will bring such gratitude to me that my eyes would overflow with tears. And I wish you that blessing, really.
Oh, thank you.
So yes, as a podcaster, that communication, and what we do is we can say, yes, absolutely. There's many, many podcasters out there, and there's many podcasts, and they're all brilliant and all fantastic. But what's Mo's biggest differentiator? It's the way you connect with people. You don't hide only behind a microphone, that I can tell you. I know a lot of podcasters who are really absolutely great behind the microphone. When they get out there, they don't connect with people. It's easy to connect from here, behind a screen or behind, some sort of microphone. But when you meet people, and that's what distinguishes you from everybody else, I see you as adding tremendous value to people. Like I said, I recently found, I call myself BBC, born before computers, but I recently saw you on TikTok, and I started following, and I managed to see one or two and three of the interviews, and I thought you were doing an excellent job, and I asked myself, why is Mo not adding value to people in Bahrain, in the Middle East, in the world? And perhaps today, the main purpose of me being here is to say to you, Mo, it's time.
Oh my God. You kept that, and you told me in the camera set. You could have told me this in the car. You could have told me that where else.
Well, I can tell you, your audience loves you. And your audience knows that if you speak about the topics like I listen to, and like I listen to you every day, and the value you give out, and the mannerism in which you give it out, and the connection in which you give it out, I think your audience needs to know that. Why not? They'd love you for that. I have no doubt your audience would like to attend probably weekly sessions, online Zoom, Teams, whatever you like, for an hour at least. And then they would like to come and feed your energy in a venue where you would choose topics and make a serious difference to them. Why are you holding yourself back? So I want you, that biggest differentiator of a podcast is a man who is so flexible that he can be behind this microphone and behind the screen, and yet At the same time, you can have people in a room and transform those people, mobilize them into where they want to go. Don't let the illusion fool you. Everybody's going through an inner battle and inner challenge. And people need people like you to make that happen.
There's a huge respect for that. And it's indirectly, it is weirdly, when you're saying these things, it's weirdly because you don't really know me, but yet you know things about me. And that's fascinating because I never thought I spoke to you about that, like me being a speaker or something like that. And if I would allow to say this, I think I shared in one of the previous episodes that I wasn't that confident previously, and I didn't really have the guts to do whatever that could be, even the podcast, even the being a public speaker, even being a Toastmaster, whatever that could be. I didn't have that thought. It's just the idea. When I graduated back in time, 2019, I came back from UK. This is just for your information. I'm just sharing this story. So I realize that I need to improve my confidence while to speak to the people. And I realized that, hey, you know what? There is something called Toastmaster that I might be interested to get in and have an understanding of what they do. And I had a slight understanding what they do, honestly. But it blows me away to the things that I thought that I could not do, and instead of the things I can do and the impact I can give to the listeners. And I was able to pick that skill so quickly that everybody has noticed, that everybody has asked me, how long you been here? How long you been in? And I told them I've been in this length. And they were like, really? You've been trained under someone else. You've been trained under that. Or a lot of stereotype would say to me, oh, you graduated from England. That's exactly why you are a good speaker. I'm like, no way, guys. You should probably see me when I did my presentation back in the time. But it's unless my potential and I have a self-discovery that 27 years of my life I never had before, that actually I love to be in a stage and I love to inspire people, and I always have the thought of what's in it for the people, that what I do will do to them. And I really connect with that really, really well, because I am more focused of what are the things that within my control that I can contribute that can help someone else. And even that someone else could be one person, I'm gonna do it. And that's the rationale. When I knew this, I knew I was like, you know what, let me just emphasize on that. And why do I want to? Because I'm curious by nature, and that's something I connect. And you're absolutely true about it, just like you witness it. I can connect with the cleaner that they clean in the training, or the manager, or the general manager, whoever that could be. I'm gonna have a way to connect with them, and I have a special way to connect with them, and that's because I value every human being I see in the planet Earth.
And that's why you've been chosen. Believe it or not, you've been chosen. There's no coincidence. You've been chosen to make a difference to people. Mo, I can tell you there's a lot of people who face a lot of different inner challenges and battles. There's young people, there's middle-aged people, there's older people, and there are people who just want to listen to a fresh perspective. People have a concern. It's for example, parents wondering, what are the future skills that I need to empower my children with? And you, the person who has the ability to develop a topic that is highly relevant to those people, correctly position it,
Yep.
and deliver it to people. I think that just as you're doing this podcast in your own time with so much enthusiasm, so much sharing, so much caring, so much love, it's exactly the same thing you could do. If I said to you once a week, send out a link on Teams and people can join and listen to you. And eventually people will come to do half a day sessions with you at a venue where they'll feel you and they'll feel inspired to make changes in their lives. Because with so much happening around us, with all of this information overload, don't ever underestimate that there are many, many people who don't have their goals, or probably frustrated as to where they are currently. And they need some sort of encouragement, direction, rewiring to get to where they're supposed to be. And that's the role you play. Sometimes one word, one line you say will change a person's life trajectory. Then you've got to be doing that.
I love that. I love that. And I think this is kind of interesting because we keep this into camera, and I have no fear whatsoever of really achieving that and really going forward with that. Thank you for inspiring me, Paul, for that perspective.
Yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that.
Of course, of course. One of the key elements is to have someone authentic in the podcast. And I believe you have a huge, you earn this. You're not given this, you earn this. And remember, I don't invite anybody. I always
Absolutely.
think of...
Your brand is important.
Exactly, yes. So I like to have someone who's like thought leader in what they do. They're really expert, not trying to use corporate words. Don't get me
Mhm.
wrong. Because one of the times I was speaking to one of the creators, and while I was speaking to him, and then he was like, "Why are you using or incorporating a lot of corporate word within your speech?" When I said, like, for example, subject matter expert, and he was like,
Yes.
"Why would you say that? It's kind of directed that the people only who's in that way are from." And I said, "No, that I didn't mean that only. There's a lot of values that I have to check before me invite anybody to the
A
pod."
doctor is a subject matter expert. He's not in corporate. A subject matter expert is simply an adjective to describe anyone who's a subject matter expert in a subject. Right now, if we had to talk sound engineering or podcast, you would be able to tell me a lot that makes you my subject matter expert, my go-to person. And you don't have to be in corporate. So some people like to box it into some area. It's like me saying, you're a man, but when you come out here, I must call you something else. But you're a man in corporate and you're a man out there. You're a father if you're in corporate office. You're a father if you're at home. You're a father if you're in the cinema. You're a father if you're on Facebook. You're a father if you're on Instagram. I can't call you somebody else.
Mm.
So we can, demyst that entire, what we call, illusions around it. So
Yeah. Now, I want to because you are one of the subject matter experts in sales, and I love the stories that you're sharing, the way you're telling this, and by the way, I love your articulation of words. It's a pure way to tell me how strong your communication is. You're articulating, you're choosing a word, you wisely, precisely dedicated to showcase something that in a spot you were able to showcase, although that none of these questions has been presented to you. In fact, this is all of it is impromptu speech.
Well, Bo, I want to tell you that you said to me earlier in the day, because I just didn't get time, which I apologize, to send you my profile or bio. And when you met me in the day, you said, I'm up for the challenge. And I just felt a surge of energy for you. And when you picked me up this afternoon, when we left there, you said, I'm ready. Let's go for this. This is my challenge. And I can tell you something. I absolutely admire your questions without you having read a thing about me. And that's what makes a difference. Why? You were able to read me instead of read me. It's much better to read me in my energy field than to read me in my paper. In my paper, I can say anything I want to say to you. But in my energy field, like you said, I have to be me. And the greatest lesson of all that I can leave anyone with, the number one lesson, be yourself. It's okay if you are disliked for who you are. Better that than be liked for who you're not. Thank you, Mo. It's been an absolute pleasure here, and I look forward to many more of these.
Of course, I love it. I love it. I really love it. Now, through your experiences, you've done almost 3 decades, 2 decades and a half into...
Yes, 25 years,
training.
just over, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said two decades and a half, because I mean exactly 25 years.
Yeah.
So throughout your experience and your career into training sales people, expert, association, managers, seniors managers, strategically leaders, whatever that could be.
Yes.
What are the common mistakes that you often see in people doing in the sale industry?
Number one, there's absolutely no planning. They wing it. When we become more experienced, we are exactly like experienced drivers. You were driving on the highway today twice a day. Did you see any learner drivers in a crash? No. I saw a bumper bash yesterday. Very nice brand of car bumped into another very nice brand of car, and that held up all the traffic. But there was no learner sign there. The experienced driver thinks they can cut lanes, don't use indicators, drive at a higher speed, do whatever it takes because they're winging it. But a learner driver, so the experienced driver does that. A learner driver is constantly learning. So if you are constantly a student of life with humility, you will achieve a lot. So number one mistake they make is there's no planning. Number two mistake is there's no preparation. That means you prepare very well for the pitch you're going to deliver tomorrow. Don't compromise on that. Our ego can take control of us and think we don't have to prepare. And you can trip yourself so badly because the ego has always got to be shut down by the divine. And that would be an opportunity the divine would use to shut down your ego. So preparation, do the research, find the information, whether it's LinkedIn, website, reviews, Instagram, profiles, asking questions. Do the research before you get to the client. And once you've got all of that information, you've got to put that information so that it becomes currency information. There's information for the purposes of acquiring and learning, and there's information that gets translated to currency. As you know, we refer to it as big data. Or data itself is the new oil, right? So you prepare yourself extremely well in terms of all of that. Once you've done that, you can practice. You can have role plays with yourself, with placing an imaginary customer. You can record yourself and get it right. And the next day, when you're driving to your client, you can listen to it on your Bluetooth. As you get to the client, your level of motivation, energy, inspiration, and of course your discipline is in place. Then only do you present. So the mistake of not planning, preparing, and practicing is the most common mistakes that people need to attend to.
What do you think that was the common one? What is the thing that the people missed? That not knowing how important is this, yet they are just falling off. And because you're speaking from a subject matter expert who trained sales experts or managers or whoever that is in different types of people, different continent, different markets,
yes,
developing, emerging markets.
Yes.
And yet you had summarized it in one specific thing. So what is it that the people are lacking for that? What is the awareness? What is it from your perspective?
I would change it from lacking to what are they depending on? Many people depend on the fact that we have a great brand name behind us. We were talking about Lexus, so I think I have a great brand name behind me. And we have so much information known as the PDFs on the website, or the brochures, or the pamphlets. So if you want to know anything, I just download and I email to you. So it takes me away from being involved in the conversation. It just says, I'll email you the specs. From what I can see, well, it's definitely got this and got that, but I'll email you a spec sheet. So what we do is we abdicate or abscond from responsibility of connecting with a person and hoping that something inanimate would do it for us.
Super dope. So how, in your perspective, before we're moving on to this, so in your opinion, what would you strategize in order to solve this to them? Especially some of them that they might not see you. So for example, let's say an example, like I was doing a sales for 10 years and I like this. I don't have this. And I always depend on something else, right? And when you came in, my manager brought you in as a sales expert, and then they told you, come and teach me or coach me. And then you realize I have egoistic mindset. How would you deal with me?
The moment I reframe you into your lifestyle and what is your purpose for doing this. As a family man, you have a much higher purpose to do this than to be winning trophies at work. And what we do is what we call a values exercise that repurposes you into your pricelessness. As soon as you purpose into the pricelessness, for example, your children, your family, your spouse, your parents, your siblings, and you go to work every day knowing that you're going to serve, not going to prove. So it's easy to do anything to prove something, but it's a lot more difficult to keep the humility to serve. And in that servitude, people will feel you. It's like me blindfolding you here and smoking. How would you know I'm smoking if I blindfolded you here? You'd smell it, right? If your neighbor was having a barbecue, how would you know they're having a barbecue without seeing it? You'd smell it, right? What we're saying is that the oxygen has a tracer. So that cigarette smell or the barbecue smell is traveling in the oxygen, which means that it is a vibration, because everything in the universe is a vibration. So you can feel the vibration. So when you go and you are egotistical, the majority of clients are too polite, too kind, or considerate to say to you, Mo, you're being egotistical. What they say to you is, Mo, thank you very much. Could you send us a proposal, maybe a quotation via email, and we'll contact you? And guess what? Thereafter, you say you're following up and you can't get hold of the customer, and the customer doesn't want to return your call. What he didn't want to tell you, which he felt bad to tell you, is, Mo, I don't do business with people who are egotistical. It was easier to tell you to send a quote and then just don't answer your calls, don't return the follow-ups. And so many salespeople suffer from this. I bring this knowledge because I interview clients. I go to a client and say, Mo has been trying to get hold of you 7 times. How come you haven't returned his call after you've entertained him so well in your office and gave him hopes? He said, I really felt bad for Mo. Somewhere along the line, I know he's a family man. I know he's doing this job to feed his family. I don't find it in my heart to tell him, you're egotistical, there's the door. I'd much rather say to him, give him a coach, and then, at least I'm away from him. I'm not feeling his vibration. So I can say no. So how do I do that? Straightforward. There's no other way to get rid of an ego. Not get rid, we have to reduce it. It's always there. We have to own or disown it. When I repurpose you to the self, there's 2 parts within you, and however we refer to them, light and dark, positive and negative, they actually are made up of the divine and the ego. The divine is the self, and the ego is the other side, the opposite of divine. So in the self, you have very, very, very powerful purpose. Imagine if your child is walking with you and your child is saying to you, my dad, Mo, you need to make the sale because I'm going to be going to school next year and I need really nice school uniform and I really need a nice school bag. So please, Mo, my dad, I would like you to be able to make the sale by serving this man with humility and servitude. Let him feel it, Dad. Will you listen to Mo, or your junior Mo, or would you just go out there and be egotistical? So people don't know how to repurpose themselves, but they use the word loosely. Repurpose yourself from your ego to yourself in where your divinity and purpose resides. Guess what? Everybody is attracted to you like a magnet. Your charisma grows, your magnetism, and people just want to find you absolutely interesting. They won't stop listening to you.
I love that. From this experience, what are the hardest challenges that you overcome?
With regards to sales?
Sales, mentality of people of sales, regarding what's the hardest challenges to overcome your increase in sales. So what are...
Oh, okay. The most difficult challenge is being able to make sure that you have the self-confidence constantly to create a fair exchange for value. Example, cannibalizing the word value and overusing it has no purpose whatsoever. A value proposition consists of at least 10 components. And still, the customer determines what's value. It's not value until the customer says it's value. Articulating a compelling value proposition is people's biggest challenge. They confuse the benefits and the services with value. And they want to talk to you about value versus price without actually talking about value components. That's the biggest challenge I have with salespeople, to understand that. Because the people who are buying from you, just as you are trained to sell something, they are trained to buy. They understand, they're procurement people. They understand spend intelligence. They understand what's value. They understand they have to take credit or blame for whatever you're giving them. They understand that somehow it impacts their business bottom line, either in reducing cost, adding value, or optimizing a resource.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. And thank you for become so vulnerable and honest by sharing that. And I completely agree, because your business operate not only in South Africa, it's operate Europe, MENA region, Middle East region, and even you reach China. God sake.
Yeah, Taiwan, China, India.
Wow.
Italy, Eurasia.
And if I ask you this, suppose a CEO now watching this, right? Some sort of big managers watching this, whoever that is. What is the uniqueness that Paul Naidoo bringing to the table that distinguish him and allowing him to stand out from that crowd, that you think this is the main thing you're getting business internationally?
Well, firstly, that you've got to know your product. There's no doubt about it. You got to know your product as in how your customer uses it and how it fits into there, and you got to know the challenges they face. And then you've got to be able to optimally position yourself as the person who can help them solve those pain points. And it's really, really very easy. You connect with people, you establish what are their pain points, you tell them that you will do the necessary work, research, etc., to propose to them what is a step-by-step process in achieving that. And the client then buys into it because they realize nobody else can do it. Every day, if you're researching something, research how you can do something that nobody else is doing. And if you do it like that, then you'll be at the next level. I've heard a lot of sales trainers, and they each want to have a place right through the Americas and all of those places there. Why would I get called to these countries to do that? Is because they don't have the actual language. They don't help salespeople with exactly what they should be saying. They don't help them with the what and the why and the how. They say something. They say, you must close a sale. You must get out there and close a sale. You know, closing sales is what you're supposed to be doing. That's what you're supposed to be doing. You must close sales. Now, we don't go around speaking to customers like that. I can't sit in front of you and say, I'm here to close a sale. I'm going to close the sale now. I'm going to close the sale. I'm here to close a sale. You know, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to ask you to earn your business. And the manner in which I ask for that and how I go through the various commitments to get that agreement on those commitments from you is depending on how I position it to you. And I've got to have the humility to ask, not stand here and say, do you want to do business? You know, we can get it to you on Tuesday or Thursday. Which day do you choose? You know, those are antiquated methods. They have nothing to do with human-to-human connections. They're theoretical stuff that don't work.
But the market is constantly changing.
Yes.
So how you ensure that you are evolving as well as a human being? Since you left the sales and then you started training the sales.
Yes. Yes. So you've got to reinvent yourself. You've got to recategorize things. You've got to refresh yourself. Whenever you look at something, you can always ask yourself, how do I make this better? You probably start every morning by looking at when you comb your hair. How do I comb it better? How do I make it look better today? How do I shape my beard better today? How do I walk better? How do I drive better in this traffic? So there'll always be challenges. The world is designed with challenges. So if there's a challenge, the big question is, how can I make this better? You've got to take time, think, reflect. Sales is about having communication skills. It's about speaking. How can I say something better? How can I ask something better? How can I sound better at it? Then it's irrespective of what product you sell, correct? And it's irrespective of which nationality you deal with. I was going back to the question you said, you know, as far as Taiwan, China, Eurasia, Italy, India, you know, many countries in Africa, South Africa, Middle East, entire MEA region, Saudi, etc., several times. How is it? It's not about the words, or it's not about the fact that I don't know Arabic or any other language for that matter. It's how I get people to speak in their own language. Because they're dealing with clients who are customers who speak Arabic. You can speak Arabic where you're trying to push your product, or you can speak Arabic in the way you're trying to serve people. Today, if I give you a word, within seconds, Google Translator will translate it for you. So many of these places, like the Chinese, they have me in there. And whatever I'm teaching, you don't even need a translator. They translate it there right now. And then I show them tone and they've got the right words. Someone verifies it. Google Translate verifies it. And then it's how you're saying it to the person. You know the famous thing. It's not what you're saying. It's how you're saying it. So the Chinese could be speaking Mandarin. And that's okay because their customers speak Mandarin. But how you're using your words to reframe people, influence them, to know, to feel, to remember that you're the person they should be doing business with. It doesn't matter in which language. You could say I love you in any language. I could either say to you, I love you. You know, I'm said it in English, but it means nothing. You get it? So everywhere for that matter, it doesn't matter. And what about the human being? It doesn't matter what color you are, what language you are. Your smile and your eyes, your body is still the same. When you walk into that door, the human energy is the same irrespective of which nationality it is. The look in your eyes, the smile, the warmth in your greeting, the handshake of confidence, the humility does not know a language. It only knows an energy.
Well said. I love that. I love that. Now, speaking of this, now you reached multiple layers of people. How did you really connect these dots, and how would you able to reach those difficult markets, I would say?
You know, one of the things in our education system, when I first went to school, and I did go, believe it or not, much to my reluctance, they taught me A is for apple. Nobody taught me K is for kiwi fruit and P is for peach and, you know, O is for orange, but they taught me A is for apple. Now, let me explain something to you. If you were taught a few more things, number one, A is for approach. No matter what you do in your life, no matter who you're doing it to, no matter what you face, be mindful of your approach. If this approach is not working, change the approach. If you're talking to your brother and you want him to help you to clean up the house, it's going to be your approach. They taught that to you in every day, every subject, before every subject. you'd be a different person today, all of us. But they taught us A is for apple. You have kids today who haven't even gone to school that know A is for apple. Why teach me and why let the education system keep me down like they keep you down to multiplying a maximum of 12 times 12? You get it? Because then we can sell calculators. Then A is for acceptance. How do you accept things peacefully? Not just accepting, but accepting it peacefully. Finding your own peace. Get it? And thirdly, A is for accountability. How are you accountable for your own life? So if I taught you that about A, you'd be in a different place, correct? So how do I get to people? Very, very simply. Never before have we had a shortage of a resource to get to anyone we want to get to in the world. Now, I don't need to get to some person that I can add no value to, that would have no reason to buy from me, you get it? I need to get to a person that is going to really buy from me. And if you talk about the way I do my work in different countries and all over South Africa, there's a powerful application called LinkedIn. You use LinkedIn, you'll get to people all the time. You don't have to worry, it's 24/7. It's in the palm of your hand. So again, I'm very grateful to the Almighty. Never before have we had that many resources to be able to use to make us successful. Yes, man may have created it, but who created man? Who gave him the intellect? You get it? So yeah, you can go anywhere, be anybody. You just need to know the right approach.
Right. Having said the right approach, I have the right approach to meet people, but then every market has different buyer behaviors. How would you cater your training to suit these behaviors of a people? Especially that you're operating today in Bahrain, tomorrow in China, the day after in London, the day after you're in America, whatever that could be. So how you make sure?
Buyer behavior is just a fancy word in marketing terminology. Do you behave differently? When you're going to buy music, do you dance into the store? No, you don't do that.
No.
If you're dancing, that's a behavior, right?
Correct.
But when you're going to buy music, why don't you see people dancing into a music store? So buyer behavior, consumer behavior, all of those things have become very, very nice buzzwords. What it is basically is that the experience you're looking for. An example of why someone like Amazon is much bigger than, other companies that distribute is because of what we call the buyer experience. If you've ever ordered stuff from them and it's been delayed and you told them about it, they will send you the package and they'll refund you. They'll send you the next package earlier. They'll send it even earlier. They'll change the courier company. What we should be talking about is not the consumer behavior, but the human being's experience. Are we meeting those experiences that they deserve? If you've ordered food from some favorite restaurant of yours right now, how they come and deliver it to you and wish you well and tell you to enjoy your meal and all of those things, you'd hardly ever change. If you do change and the other person comes here and just drops your meal and drives off, you're going to think, I'd rather go back to that person. I think there's a lot better energy that he gave me my food.
Yeah, you're absolutely on point.
So we need to move. Like you said, things keep evolving. What is it evolving to? It shouldn't be evolving to marketing buzzwords. It should be evolving to what's the human to human need? What's the human experience that's required?
But don't you agree there is different client psychology, different relationships building that require in different levels throughout your international experience?
Absolutely. And again, that's the experience they want. For example, if I'm talking to a CEO, I've got to be talking at a strategic level. If I'm talking at a sales manager level, he's operating the sales force. I've got to be talking at an operational level. That's still the experience he's getting from me. That's his experience of his business. Operationally, he's got to bring in the numbers. Strategically, the CEO wants it to be number one. So the language of number one is different from the language of how do we get the money in.
If you could elaborate more on this topic, and because you had a really vast experience in this, and you have a different experience when it comes to different markets.
Yes.
What would be your perspective to people who wouldn't be in similar position, or what is the insight that you had gained throughout your years of experience in that specific terminology, or like the having the understanding of customer psychology and also the customer, or how ways to maintain and build these strong relationships?
Let's go to the first one. How do you get to them? For example, a CEO at that level, he talks vision. When you talk vision, it's less words and more imagination, painting the picture. When you're talking to a sales manager who operationally needs to get his guys producing, you've got to be able to tell him about the challenges that they may experience and exactly how you'll help them overcome those challenges. You would ask for the list of challenges. So he might tell you that the competitor has brought in much cheaper products, they substitute products from a different country, etc. And you've been an established brand, and how do we do that? So you start going into, competitive advantage issues, and you create barriers to entry in your customer's mind about the substitute product. And that becomes a specific meeting, a specific conversation, a specific agenda, and specific language. So you would definitely talk to them. And, the language changes, because if you just talk about language. If I said to you, Mo, there's something on your hair right now, right on top there. What's happening to you? You're becoming conscious. I can't feel anything. He's just testing me on language. But under normal circumstances, if I saw you in the passage, Mo, what's that on your hair? You'll immediately move your hand up there. You'll try and brush it off. Get it?
Think of the camera catch that. When you say something wrong with my hand, he's testing me.
He's testing me out. You see what happened? I moved your frame.
Right.
So that's part of the language that moves the frame constantly. And when you're having the right language, that's how you approach people. And the part where you said, how do you build these relationships? Trust has various components. Trust is relative. Trust is made up of two very, very powerful aspects. On one aspect is the character, and that has a set of parameters that you have to fulfill and exceed, and it's made up of competence. And that's another area that you've got to fulfill. For example, on your character, there's intention and integrity, which is very important. And that talks about your authenticity, your sincerity, your intent. That's extremely important. Are you honest? Are you open? Are you transparent? And we can list more there. On your competency side, in competency, can you deliver in terms of performance? Do you have results? Do you have a reputation? Those kind of things. So when we talk about when we talk about trust, I'm very sorry, I apologize. When we talk about trust is very relevant. I have a famous example. Mo, I trust you with my life, with my absolute life, right? And today, if it starts raining really heavy, I was one time here when you had some heavy rain and the roads were flooded and we couldn't get to the building, etc. And assuming it's like that and it's getting dark, and you tell me you want to drive me on the highway from here to Manama at 160 kilometers an hour, I will not want to go with you, because I do not trust your competency in driving in the rain and floods and driving at that speed when it's dark. You get it? But from a character point of view, I trust you in my life. What happened was the situation changed, the thunderstorm, the lightning, the rain, the environment changed, it became flooded, etc. And the circumstance changed where you want to drive at high speed. But I still trust you in my life. The character didn't change. The circumstance changed. When there's a change in circumstance, the trust level drops from number 5 to right number down, if that one, to number 1, okay? So I don't trust you. But tomorrow when I see you again, I absolutely trust you with my life. But if the situation changes, now, to have this trust levels, as you asked, how do you build those? You've got to be very particular about what is it that you want to build trust levels on. So for that matter, if you want to make sure that the character is in place before you want them to buy from you, you've got to work on the character. So whatever your character is, as you do it with sincerity, because if you're a person of high character, it will always show in your communication, in the way you do things, in the way you change your approach, in the way you suggest something, in the way you do something. And once I've built that, and we can literally call it be on first name basis, then it's very easier to bring in what I'm showing you that will deliver your results. But if I rock up here and I just show you something that delivers results, imagine you were at your gate there in your beautiful garden, and I rocked up with a vacuum cleaner. Hi, good evening, sir. I have vacuum cleaners. No, thank you. But if I've been talking to you for the last 2 weeks, sending you information on vacuum cleaners, telling you about safety in vacuum cleaners, what are the filters, how easy it is to clean it, for that matter, then you know the product. But for the last 2 weeks, if I've been talking to you about me, hi Mo, this is Paul Naido. I specialize in helping people get the best vacuum cleaners into their home. Now, what I'd like you to know about me is that I've spent 20 years working with people, and these are the different people I've worked with. I have a massive amount of references on people who can testify on my character. I believe that you shouldn't buy from me at all until you absolutely trust who I am. And I'd like to know if you have any questions about me in order to trust me as a person before you even get to my product. People spend more time talking about the product. They don't face the tough conversation or the tough question around trust.
Why?
Because they're too scared. They'll be called out. Why should I trust you? If you said to me, if you ask me, Paul, please, what would you like to know about me to trust me to buy the vacuum cleaner? And then I turn around and say, why should I trust you? They're too scared to answer that question because they haven't done what I said to you earlier on when you asked me the question: the planning, the preparation, the practice, and then the presentation of it.
I love that. I love that. So how do you handle difficult customer in that perspective? Who you want to build a trust, yet it's really, really difficult for one reason or another to build a trust with the customer.
May I have your kind permission to remove the word difficult customer?
Of course.
So we cannot call a person difficult. A customer is a human being. Okay? Let's get there first. So I first see the human being. They're not difficult. They are treating me in the manner that I am giving them permission to treat me.
Elaborate, if you don't mind.
So if you take a particular scenario, if I approach somebody and I said, hi, I'd like to talk to you about this, and this is my company profile, and this is this, and this is that, that would be, I'm just pushing myself in. If I said, hi, Mo, I'm involved in selling vacuum cleaners. I would like to know that is there anything particular in vacuum cleaners that may be troubling you from the past? Or do you have any creativity or ideas that you'd like to help me with what your vacuum cleaner of the future should look like? Now you're getting to know that I'm doing this. Then I tell you a little bit about me. I'd like to also know what kind of experience you've had with previous people who sold vacuum cleaners from you, and now vacuum cleaners have become very expensive. What would you expect of the person who is going to be selling you vacuum cleaners in future? So that's just a basic part of it, but it depends on who. If you give me what we call a buyer persona, which is a person who's buying from you, if you give me that persona, I'll be able to tell you exactly what the approach should be. And then it's based on, when you make the first approach, how they respond or not respond. So if I got hold of a CEO and he didn't respond to you, I would firstly look at the message that went out, and secondly, the method. So if the message needs reworking, we'll rework it. If the message was perfect, we'll simply change the method of delivery.
And that's all having the understanding, and then have the right communication, and have the right discipline.
Yes.
And then having the right way to say it.
Absolutely.
And then the magic happens.
Yes. Because when you approach somebody, and I mean, look at it, Mo, what you're doing here right now, right? Looking at your podcast, it's absolutely amazing. You're the kind of person who will help people, not just with positivity, okay? I don't want the Mo brand to be really this positive guy who walks around with great energy helping everybody. But if Mo sent me a topic, for that matter, he says to me, hi, Paul, you may have children and grandchildren, and there's situations where they may be facing certain rejections, and this could help, in terms of their self-worth, their self-confidence. This would really give them a hard time, and maybe they're not talking to you about it. They could be bullied in school, or being disliked for some reason, or teased for some reason. There are people who are being rejected in relationships. Relationships are breaking up. There are people who are being rejected in marriages. Marriages are breaking up. There's people who are being rejected for promotions, for salary increases. There are people being rejected for particular skill sets and jobs they can do. There's a lot of rejection taking place. It kills the confidence. It kills the self-worth. It kills the self-esteem. But if I get a note, dear Paul, do you have children at the moment in school, or perhaps anyone in your family or workplace who's suffering from some sort of rejection that's impacting their self-worth, their self-confidence, their self-esteem? Next Tuesday at 6 o'clock, I'm having a session to define rejection and how we should approach it. And following the interest on that, I'll be doing a live face-to-face classroom event on, the 30th of December at this place from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock. I'd like to be there. But every day that Mo is motivating me with all this high energy, I don't know what he's asking me for or what he's offering me.
I love that. Have you been in a position where you have to compromise? Let me rephrase this question. Now, speaking of having that trust, let's say I build a trust with a company. They have really good trust in me. They buy into my product, whatever that could be. And so how would I make sure that the engagement level, all right, in the right position, where I don't have to compromise my own values that I believed in?
Well, that's a really interesting question and very powerful. As people get to know you, they get to know you. Again, we're talking about energy, vibration, the things you speak about, the things you do, the way you dress, you get it? And they'll realize this person is a high integrity person. If they haven't realized it yet, and you turn around and say to them, what you're asking for me to do devalues me, is against my consciousness and my integrity. If I don't get to do business with you because of that, I would have kept my integrity and my honor in place, which I'm going to pass on to my son as a legacy. He'll always remember that. So I'm very happy to meet you in Jaffa Mall, and we can look at each other in the eye and greet each other. But I'd never want to do business with you where my integrity is compromised.
Wow.
Now, there's a possibility that if he's that kind of person, within a few months, he might lose his job because that, lack of integrity is compromised and is exposed, and you can re-enter that organization.
You think so?
Absolutely. If they find him guilty of some sort of compromise in integrity, they'll fire him. So you can go back to that company because there'll be a new person. But you never want to be associated where you were part of somebody losing their job or their integrity. No, you turn it down. Anything that compromises your integrity, you turn it down.
See, the way you put it, honestly, it seems very easy. The way we speak about it, it seems like beautiful. But reality is a reflection of difficulties and challenges in that industries.
Yes. So it depends on you who's being the person, and I don't know if you're going to give me a specific example that you may know of or you've heard of. If you look at certain countries for that matter, and you can't avoid where there is bribery and corruption. And bribery and corruption is something you should not ever get involved in. Don't ever compromise your integrity on that. Don't. It doesn't matter how difficult it is. Don't put yourself in it. It's difficult for me to swim the ocean. I can tell you that. I mean, it's difficult for me to swim in a swimming pool. Should I go put myself in the ocean? No, I don't.
So I like how you put it, but this will bring me to this question. I just thought about it, which is what are the traits of a great salesperson?
So the authenticity, the sincerity, the integrity, the ability to be connected, the ability to serve people, to make a difference to them, to add value to the results, to move them from pain to pleasure, to make sure that at the end of the day, everything is according to what they expected, if not more.
Wow.
That's a simplified version of a very great salesperson. A salesperson who follows up on time, who never has to have a customer looking for him as to why something hasn't happened. He's proactive and he's very honest. I'm sorry, I cannot deliver in 3 weeks. He doesn't take the order and then run to the office and say, if you don't deliver in 3 weeks, we're losing the customer. He uses the customer as a weapon. That's wrong. You're supposed to sit in front of the customer and say to him, I'd rather pass this order than lie to you, because at the back of my mind, all I'm thinking about is going back to my office and using you as a weapon to say we'll lose you as a customer if we don't deliver. I'd much rather tell you, I can go there now and they're going to tell me no. Now, I know that you have to make certain arrangements on your side. I'm happy to come back tomorrow to see if you're still happy to place the order, but you can change the arrangements on your side to 4 weeks. In that way, you won't be upset with me if it doesn't get here in 3 weeks. Are you okay with making that decision? We'll meet in 24 hours.
Lovely. Lovely.
Because when a customer buys something, assuming you bought a new television set, all right? So they told you they're going to deliver on Tuesday at 10 o'clock. And you're waiting here. You've got your person with the drill to drill the wall and mount the TV. You have to open the door, okay? You have to unlock the gate. You've left work. You're waiting here. And somebody doesn't arrive. You're really upset. But if he says to you, Mo, I'm really sorry, I cannot do Tuesday 10 o'clock. I'd much rather you set it for Thursday 3 o'clock. Now, make the arrangements on your side. I know you need to leave work and all of that. So I feel that if you have to leave on Thursday at 3 o'clock, it's going to be right. That's what's going to happen. But on Tuesday at 10 o'clock, you'll be here, and then I have to make some sort of excuse why we couldn't make it. And you'll be very upset with me. It'll be a bad experience. I'd rather keep you a customer for life than wanting you to buy one TV. Mo, you look like a man who'll buy 20 TVs in your life. I'd rather lose this one sale, but I'll have the other 19.
Wow. You indirectly, when you said that, I wanted to say, I want to purchase this TV right now.
I'll wait till Thursday.
Because I don't think there is kind of this level in the sales industry, unfortunately.
Because
with
people are
all due
desperate.
respect.
Yeah, they're desperate. Why? If you're highly skilled, you have an expanded mindset, you have an expanded skill set, and you have collaborative relationships, there is no fear. The fear that I will lose a sale, the fear that I won't make my numbers, the fear that I have to show my boss gets people to talk in a way that they're trying to fix up. They go through a lot of stress because they promise you Tuesday delivery. They go to work and they start trying to make all sorts of plans to get it to you on Tuesday. And it has worked before where they did manage to get it. And this time it doesn't because the truck didn't arrive or something. Now I've just got a lost customer. Now he's got to do so much more work, put so much more energy to appease you, to make you feel comfortable, to make you feel a little calm. Why do that? I'd rather just say to you, Mo, I'm sorry I can't deliver this one, okay? So if you're going to get it from somebody else, great. But Mo, you look like a man in your lifetime who's going to buy 20 TVs, and I want the order on the other 19. I'm prepared to lose this sale, but never you as a customer. Never.
I like that. Now, speaking of numbers, you tapped something that triggered my interest that I want to dive into about. Now, sales is not about hitting numbers. Do you agree?
Well, it is part of the requirement. It's like saying a car has to have an engine, it's got to have tires, it's got to have that. It's
So
not
what
only
what
about
are
numbers.
the other qualities I had saying that I'm meeting my targets, say getting my KPIs, getting my quarters, goals, numbers. But what are the really qualities of the great persons of sales? Rather than reaching their goals or targets.
Number one, humility. You're reaching your goals, your targets, your ego can take over very easily. Number one is humility, patience, sincerity, authenticity, being genuine, remaining calm in any situation, which is the most difficult one. And also connecting with people not only when they're buying, but when they're not buying also. Staying in touch. They're not buying, but stay in touch. Don't only treat people as people you would use to make sales. People move, things change. You said earlier on, things evolve. I never know where you're going to be tomorrow. And just because you didn't buy this microphone from me today, then that was a very transactional trust level. It's about adding it. It's like you say, as a podcaster, you have an impressive amount of followers, and pray Almighty bless you with 10 times, 100 times, a million times more than that, and that your current following makes sure that that happens. Well, I can tell you something. It's the same with customers. If you have plenty of customers, you never have to sell. They'll buy from you and your numbers happen. So why lose touch with people? And today we have many ways, whether it's Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, I don't know, whatever other systems you have, CRM, WhatsApp, etc. It's made easy to stay in touch with your customers.
Now, I want to challenge you.
Please do.
I would love to, actually, because the only thing I'm having right now, the questions I'm asking you, I'm trying to ask you harder questions, and you say beautiful answers. You kind of shut me off, and I'm like, I need to think about something else.
Go for it.
And this specific episode, I just knew Paul because, just for the benefit of the guest, I mutually meet Paul once every quarter, twice every quarter, because he trained where I work in my day job time, which that's a topic for another day. But I really don't have a lot of information about him. I haven't even, he was telling me, have you read my LinkedIn? I said, no. I normally do a lot of research to verify him, but Paul is a phenomenal sales trainer. That one time I brought him to the Toastmasters event, and he shocked everybody. I thought to give him 15 minutes, and he utilized 15 minutes exactly, where he delivered concise his idea, clarity in his voice, and he gave energy that I was not witnessed before. So my challenge is, how would you really track those things if you were be a manager? If a manager listens to you, his people are getting the numbers in, but the qualities that you had said, aside from the target, how would I ensure that my salespeople are, or how would I measure them on this basis?
Well, today companies are run by software systems. Your software systems will certainly do that. But the ability to help people have insights, the word you mentioned early on, when we're speaking to people and we have sales meetings, or so-called meetings, we've got to give people the freedom to be creative. We've got to encourage the creativity to get those numbers. We've got to have people like Mo, the motivator, coming and motivating them. Not everyone is motivated every day. Something could happen. Someone's child is not well. They don't feel motivated, right? And they underestimate that someone like you would walk in and say something that would change that salesperson's life. So having the motivation, because motivation is like a warm bath, right? It's going to get cold. So you have to motivate every month. You got to give people new ideas on how they should work things. You should involve the sales in activities where they feel that they're very included in terms of the wealth of the organization. So the right kind of incentives, the right kind of rewards. And they should have people like us coaching them. I mean, do you think Ronaldo has a coach?
I think he have many coach, not a coach.
Now a sales manager wants those numbers, but you don't have coaches for them. Now, the very same sales manager is watching football and is very upset if Ronaldo or Messi are not doing well. And he wouldn't necessarily blame them, he'll blame the coach. And if the team fails, we keep blaming the coach. How many coaches has Manchester United been through?
Oh
You
my
get
God.
it? You get it?
You're talking about the injury that I felt, because I support Man United,
Right.
and literally
Right, me
I
too.
knew
So,
that. Oh,
so
you
me
too?
too. Yeah. So
Really? I didn't know
absolutely,
that.
yes, absolutely. Biraj too. So the point we're making is that we get very upset. We don't want to shoot the players down, the manager, the coach, and I'm glad we're getting a new coach now. You get it?
Yeah.
They should have given him a chance, but we're constantly doing that. But those people spend a lot of time and money with coaches. A sales manager or any sales leader who doesn't see the need for coaches for his team is a very short-sighted leader.
I love that. I love that. Now, if I tell you there's only one advice that aspiration of a salesperson will listen to you, what would be that advice?
Be yourself. People love you for who you are. Don't ever underestimate that. When I say be yourself, you are born with over 4,000 traits that exist in complementary opposites simultaneously. Choose the traits that you want to own. Own that smile. Own that eye contact. Own that handshake. Own that energy that you give off, positivity, no matter what's happening. Own it. When you own it, it's easy to give it to other people. You cannot give me what you don't own. If you don't own that cup, you can't give it to me. But if you own that cup, you can give it to me. When you own a smile, you can give it to me. When you own the glow in your eyes, you can give it to me. When you own the energy, you can give it to me. The positivity, the enthusiasm, the passion. Own it. There are a lot of people who walk with their heads down, right? Morning, and they think, what happened? They don't own what you own. You can't give me. If I ask you for one dinar right now and you don't have it, you can't give me. You can't give me what you don't have. Be yourself means the divine has planted into you. A baby is born, and the first thing the baby does cries. The next thing the baby is smiling all day, every day. You look in their eyes and you see this massive window to the entire universe, the soul. A person walks past you with a kind of energy and the positive. I witnessed something in the passage today. 3 people are looking for you, and you are managing 3 people, including me, in one conversation. That's because you have the energy to do that. But you can't give me that until you own it. So you can have 4,000 traits or 5,000 traits. And one of the traits is to be approachable. One of the traits is easy to talk to you. One of the traits is you empathize, you understand, you listen, you ask the right questions. If you don't own that trait, you cannot give it to me. So be yourself.
I love it. Now, throughout what you have just said, imagine that I am a new salesperson.
Yes.
What are the most important skill that I need to prioritize about this list? Like, whether it should be this is my first thing to go and then go back.
Let's make a list of your strengths. You can only use your strength. If I asked you, let's go out there and do some jogging along the beach, and if your strength is that you have some good muscles, you have some good breath, you have some good, energy in you in terms of the right foods, and yes, then we can run. You can only use your strength. Now, we don't ask salespeople to make use of their strengths. We conduct interviews. Most people don't know their salespeople's strengths. The team leaders, including the salespeople themselves, there are key strengths that are required for you to be a salesperson. So one of them is interpersonal skills. So, Mo, you're a very experienced person. You're a master's in HR. You know how and what assessments are like. You should be building an assessment that clearly shows that if one of my strengths is smiling and being positive, and if that's not there, then I don't have the strength to be in sales. It's easy for me to have a very good conversation with you, but when I go to see customers, I don't smile. I don't even smile at the receptionist. When I'm speaking to the person, I'm too serious. You've seen that in people. They're like too serious. Hey, loosen up. So one of the qualities you want is that he walks in there and he connects. He can build rapport. But if you haven't assessed that skill, I can easily tell you that I can build rapport, instant rapport. You're not with me with every customer. So today we have very powerful tools to assess those kind of things and come up with scores.
I love that. I love that.
Use your strengths. That's what's going to make you a successful salesperson.
And how now moving on to this topic of aside from sales and training of salespeople and strategically moving companies and impact their bottom lines, you also run a speaking school.
Yeah, you know about that one, the Naidoo Public Speaking Academy. We have a lot of people who want to go onto the circuit as professional speakers, and it is a totally different set of rules on how you go about it in terms of your talk, your topics, all of that, your delivery, and of course, how you sell yourself. There are many, many people who can speak, but they don't know how to sell themselves as a speaker. So they shortchange themselves for all of that talent. There are many people who know how to sell themselves, but they don't know how to craft a speech that's saleable. So you've got to have the trilogy, which is one, we help them build the content of their speech. That's very, very important. A saleable content. You can't just build content, you've got to build saleable content. Then we help them in terms of the delivery of that content. The delivery on a stage where you're speaking at a company conference is quite different from any other academic way of delivering. And thirdly, how do you go about constantly selling yourself? Those three components are extremely important. We also have people within corporates who have to go and present at various conferences. As you know, there are a lot of people in Dubai or many conferences that take place in Dubai where companies from all over the world come there. I'm responsible with some of those exhibitors where these multinational companies send their presenters to the Naidoo Speaking Academy and they learn how to present their topic. In fact, there's a conference coming up in Qatar in January, and there's a very, I would say, popular leader from Kuwait who will be speaking there, and for the very first time be speaking in public and talking about its product. And I've been engaged in helping him with his public speaking skills. So it's not only for speakers who want to go on the circuit and earn money, but it's also for speakers within the company who have to speak at conferences and literally mobilize the crowd to believe in their product and buy their product. It's not salesmanship. It's presenting with authority, presenting with power, so people absolutely are inspired to look at your product.
Say that one of the listeners right now is someone who doesn't know how to sell himself, or he doesn't have any idea of what you just said right now, these 3 points, have no idea. And imagine if yes, the technology is evolving, AI is there, I can just ask the AI the question and he would give me an amazing ideas. But we all know it is not the case. What would be your perspective to someone who's listening right now, who have no information at all, like zero knowledge in that, but he had an aspiration to become international level speaker?
Absolutely. Everybody has in their heart a topic that will make a difference to somebody. You may have gone through something that you might think is trivial now because you went through it when you were 15, 20. Let's just for the moment call that topic fear. Let's call the topic failure. Let's call it whatever. And you know that you did a lot to get through that. You had to be resilient. You had to do this. You had to do that. You've got to first craft that into a talk in terms of the story. What happened to you? What made you do that? How are you making a difference to people? So you got to craft it. And that's what's called research, right? And the more you talk about you and the more you talk about what you harnessed, it's very important. And then you got to bring it into 45 minutes. That's it. There are very few people who give you more than that. You'll be lucky if someone says to you 1 hour, but you keep it to 45 minutes. And if you still have the hour, you take questions from the audience. So we spend a lot of time building that. But firstly, what is that topic? What is it that happened to you that will change other people's lives because you know how to handle this? That's what we've got to answer. Now, many people have something that happened. You may have built a great app. You may be great at sound engineering, and you get it? So it's not only something bad, it's what made you a sound engineer. You get it? And how should you be a sound engineer? And people want to know about sound engineering. So you take it to that point, and the next point is we look at the delivery. a delivery to an audience that is a paid audience, that's to corporates, has a very specific set of rules, as in it's not discipline rules, it's etiquette rules. Like you would say, like one of them, you've got 45 minutes, finish 45 minutes. And I know Toastmasters is very strict about that, which is really good, because people don't finish in that time. And I like the way when I attended Toastmasters, they were very particular about the time and gave people feedback on time. A lot of people think if I carry on talking, then people are thoroughly enjoying it, but they're shutting down. You're given 45 minutes to stop, and you say, my time is over. If there's one more point I haven't taken across, do I have your permission to go on for another 5 minutes? Let's have a show of hands. And if there's 100
Right.
people there and 3 hands go up, you say, no, you tell those 3 people to speak to you after the conference or whatever. And that's just one of the examples. So the way you walk the stage, the way your body language is, the way you stop, the power of pause, all of those things, it's like, a few very key things that you do that magnetizes your audience. And then, of course, the third part is the saleability of it. And my personal experience, as you would know, LinkedIn is my power pack in terms of selling it. I don't have the time or the luxury to be visiting clients, so I have to connect with them via LinkedIn, and mostly after hours do the talking through LinkedIn. And then that becomes what we call an online relationship, and then it moves offline until we meet. And we follow specifics in how you do that, how you connect with people, how you talk to them about your topic, all of that. So, if we've got time, we can go through the whole school and tell you what the whole school does.
yeah, we still have a bit of time.
But it would be nice if we would, I know we spoke about it when we did the Toastmasters. If you have people who are interested in that, we could possibly do, a session, a half-a-day session for them, led by yourself. I would support you in that and help people get there.
Yeah.
And I think the big market is a lot of people who go to perhaps Dubai and Qatar conferences and, I don't know, conferences all over the world, and are supposed to be speaking about their company here in Bahrain. And what they're doing is delivering a speech. There's a big difference between delivering a speech and presenting your product and your organization and yourself. That's one aspect in terms of the corporates. And the other aspect is there are many people who want to be speakers and get paid for it.
Why should I select you, your company, your academy? I'm a speaker listening to this right now. By the way, I'm going to link all the websites, LinkedIn account for Mr. Paul Naido down in the comments. So if you have anything, you want to reach out to him directly, you can do so, and then reach out to him. But the question is, before I get these people to link to your links, why should I select you?
I think when, I always give this example. If I want to give up smoking and I speak to a person who doesn't smoke, I'm not going to get the best advice. If I want to give up smoking and I'm speaking to a person who's still smoking, I'm not going to get the best advice. If I want to give up smoking and I'm speaking to a person who's smoking for a long time, he's been smoking for a long time, and now he's permanently given up smoking, I'll get the best advice, because I'm going to get the pain and the pleasure. Because it's easy for anyone to tell you, you should give up smoking, it's very, very healthy, your lungs will be clean. Someone else is going to tell you, I struggled when I stopped. I couldn't manage. I was breaking out in sweat. And you want to hear the real stories. So there are many people who can claim to tell you how to give up smoking and give you the 10-step method and the 3-step method and the 7-step method. But have you smoked? Have you smoked under the circumstances that I've smoked? Have you used cigarettes because of what I used cigarettes for? And how did you give up cigarettes? And what happened after that? And how did you go there? So I hope that story tells you that I take the people to the journey of pain and pleasure and make sure that at the end of the day they get the results and keep them sustained, motivated, inspired, using the help of people like yourself so that they achieve the results sooner than they think. Because there's plenty of people with 7 strategies to speak and 7 strategies to deliver this and 5 strategies to be the best speaker in the world. But they're not the best speaker in the world.
I like your confidence when you answer that question, because there's a lot of things I could sense from the way you're speaking about it. And you see, when I brought someone in the podcast, I always keen to understand their perspective and what makes them think they are. So it's like to understand or wrap who are the person or the perspective behind you and why would you believe in that. And I thank you for your honesty. And I
Mhm.
can sense the confidence while you say this story. It's like, you know what, I know what you're talking about, but I am know what I'm talking about, and
Mm.
I'm confident of that. Have you had any successful stories or successful event where you had uplifted a speakers and you prepared them to international level or something like that?
Oh, I have 11 speakers spread out from
Wow.
New Zealand, Australia, Africa, UK, South Africa, 11 full time. And I have hundreds in companies who present for the company. So I think the biggest differentiator is how to. So, how to prepare your speech, how to deliver your speech, how to sell your speech.
Mm.
And a lot of people will tell you, I'll show you 5 ways in which to deliver a speech. You know, you start your speech and you must have the power of pause, and you must do this, and you must turn around like this and say this like that. Great. Okay, please tell me how to sell it to Babco. You should just phone up somebody there and tell them you're a speaker and send them your profile, and maybe send them a couple of your video clips and send out a couple of your social media posts and let them have a look at that, do a package, and they'll look at your clips and direct them to all your clips. There are millions of people producing clips. There are not millions of people being sold as speakers. So they give you that, and you go into a cost of producing clips and videos and all sorts of things and sending it to Babco and phoning Babco and everything like that, and you sound absolutely desperate. We're not desperate people. We're people who make a difference. And even in our approach, we make a difference. And we approach that differently. So the how-to is critical.
And that, I think this is the unique selling point itself.
Absolutely. And that's what I said. How would you advise me to give up smoking? Because you've been smoking for many years, then you gave up smoking. Now I'd like to listen to you because you've been through the pain and the pleasure. I don't want a person who's just been through the pleasure of never smoking in his life and telling me, look at me, I never smoked in my life, look at how healthy I am. You don't know why I started smoking. If you understand that, you'll give me the how-to. You understand what's it like to go to gym and not smoke. You don't understand why I started smoking, what happened in my life, what smoking does for me and doesn't do for me, why I'm on that addiction. You understand it because you smoked and then you gave up smoking. Then you'll tell me the pain of giving up smoking. You'll tell me the pleasure of giving up smoking. You'll tell me the days when you thought of going back to smoking and how you managed to keep yourself afloat. That's called the how-to.
That's how it's called, the how to. It's like, this is it, Mo. We reached the end of it. I love having that point. No, last thing before we end this podcast. I always, when I enjoy the conversation, let me be honest here. When I enjoy the conversation, it's very, very hard for me to stop the conversation.
Why not, Bo? You're the same. You're a speaker. You get people to enjoy you. Why should you stop speaking when people enjoy you? You know?
Yeah, exactly. But
So
imagine, like,
you're making a difference to people. It's a two-way thing, right? Two ways.
it's exactly true. But also to make sure that keep something missing. They always believe that you should always keep something missing. Perhaps it depends on the level of engagement. It depends on the level of people they react to this specific episode. Let's maybe promise them something that might happen if we read this. Yeah, and always I want to just make sure that there's no limit for the podcast. We can talk for hours and hours
Absolutely.
and hours and hours. But then I want to capture your engagement and I capture your energy, and I don't want to talk to you about things that you're not really passionate about. So in that perspective, I always think that to keep the limit with the podcast from, let's say, an hour to 2, but I never go above 2 hours, and I think this is because also the culture wasn't really established as of yet. I mean, the culture of people who really dive in and listen to the long conversation.
Yeah, no. You're going to have it in segments and episodes. That's why podcasts are broken into episodes.
I might agree and disagree at the same time with that, but I love to keep something for later. And that's why I don't want to expose everything that the guest has, because you never know, that guest may come back again.
Sure, yeah,
and he want to talk about different aspects or different things that I want to dive in about. And especially with someone with a huge experience like yours, talking about 4 decades of sales and how to sell yourself, not only as a salesperson, but also as a speakers, and how to motivate your own speakers. And you have our own fleet of speakers that you're owning. I never knew that 11 persons that you maybe.
I just want to I have a younger son who's 23 years old. He's just recently made his debut as a professional speaker while he's still studying for his degree.
Oh.
So even him, so I have his LinkedIn post. Perhaps after this, I'll be able to show it to you, and you can refer people to it. He posted today. He just made his debut to a very large corporate, and you probably know the multinational that brings in the Caterpillar equipment that's used in mining, the heavy equipment.
Wow.
So in South Africa, the master franchise company is called World, and he posted today that he spoke to the Gen Zs there. So I have a younger son also who's a speaker. So I have speakers that go out to various companies because that's their full-time job. They don't work for me at all. I've produced them, if you get what I mean. I mentor them and help them grow all the time. So we meet consistently once a month to help them get to the next level. And I constantly have a feed of speakers from within corporates. They're like product managers or brand ambassadors, people like that who have to go out there and do really well, present their company. Not salespeople. These people present at an executive level.
Mm. And you're mentoring them to make sure that they're sharp as you think.
Absolutely.
I can only imagine if someone like you, with the wealth of knowledge, wealth of experience, wealth of things, and the trial and error that you made, and you incorporate that and encapsulate it, and then you give it to your younger generation, your young self,
distill it,
23 years old. What a buzz he gonna be in the world of South African market.
Inshallah, by your blessings. By your blessings, inshallah, it's happened.
It is gonna happen. There's no doubt. I'm talking about wealth of knowledge, wealth of experience, wealth of lessons learned, and he got the perfect dad to do so. Imagine his dad, his mentor, his coach, his everything is just in the same house. So I can only project that post that I'm gonna see. It is gonna be an amazing post.
Thank you.
So, Paul, any last word would you like to say to the audience who's listening right now?
I'd first like to say to you, thank you very, very much. You are like a spiritual son, and it is my dream to see you there because I believe in you. I have faith in you. I know you have it in you, and I'm standing right by you. Even though I'm so much older than you, if I have to carry you on my shoulders to make sure that happens, I will certainly do that. To the audience, I just want to say thank you very much. It's you're following an incredible human being, Mo the Motivator, and I'm looking forward to not far from now, probably by the latest of April, we'll have a lot of the followers in one room and giving them a live experience where I'll be sitting in and Mo will be doing that for you. I really look forward to it. I think in the meantime, you've got Mo's details. I think you can post topics like you'd like to hear. You heard I discuss rejection with Mo, and rejection can happen in anywhere. Relationships, being bullied at school, marriages, workplaces, promotions, salaries. I don't know. It can happen anywhere. You could be rejecting yourself because of something, because you might have less hair than me. You may be rejecting yourself. So whatever it is, I think that Mo is going to really help you transform from that. Let's get it as a two-way engagement in terms of what do you want, and let Mo Taylor make that for you. I can tell you he's got great support. Besides that, he's got a phenomenal knowledge, energy, and be able to make your lives a better life. So let's make this happen. Mo, once again, thank you. This has been an incredible experience. I wish you every bit of success. I'm looking forward to be on your podcast again. I'm looking forward to have a live audience that we can support you to make that into one huge movement in the Middle East, not just Bahrain, but Middle East, and then it becomes global. So much appreciated. I'm very humbled, honored, and privileged, highly complimented to be here with you today. It's been an incredible experience. God bless you with a lot of success from here on.
Oh, thank you so much, Paul, for your time, and thank you for tuning in and stay to this level of listen and viewing this episode. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, make sure to subscribe because you're missing a big time. And let me give you this promise: the bigger the channel gets, the bigger audience gets, and the better topics that you want to dig in and find out the expert like Paul Naidoo to ensure to give you that, and that's my promise to you. And make sure to incorporate that and make sure to evolve every time we produce such a content. Thank you once again for your time. Enjoy the rest of the day and see you soon. Thank you, Biraj. Thank you, Paul Naidoo. You never heard this. You never heard this. See you. All the best.
I don't mind. I'm used to this. Every time I go on TV, they take again.
You want to say something? Because once I said the episode is closed, you said, one thing I want to mention, why don't you give me a loan? So there we go. The episode not finished. I'm giving him the chance again to speak. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mo. I really wanted to say this, but I didn't get a chance at that time, and I was conscious of the time. I wanted to say to you that I want to reflect on today, and in particular, during our speech, I mentioned that earlier today, when I met you in the corridor, it was very clear that I hadn't sent you the information you required to prepare yourself. And you extended your kindness to me so empathetically. And you said, it's okay, I'll take up the challenge. I like a challenge. I'll take on a challenge. Okay, don't send. And I felt such a sense of relief because I was stressed with a new group, etc. And when you came out this afternoon out of the building and you said, I am ready for the challenge, let's go. And I thought, my word, Mo, I want to tell you that you're the only person who's interviewed me without my bio and kept such relevant questions that benefited the audience mostly and myself in such a cohesive way. That was exceptionally well done. Kudos to you. I know that makes a great interviewer. So that challenge again, I can tell you what, you can have anyone sitting across you, you have what it takes to interview them. You never have to be scared to have what we call a bio in future. It's in you. You just got to use it. Well done, man. That was incredible.
Thank you. Incredible. It's really nice to hear it from someone like you, like such a strong thought leader in sales and everything that you do in speaking and everything that you do for the community. So thank you for your time. Thank you for believing in me. And thank you for giving me your time. One of the importance in me. I really value the currency of time. And someone if accept to come with me, that itself is a victory. And I love challenges, as you rightfully said. And I was rightfully correct when I brought you to this podcast because you add a huge value, you add a huge experience, and you give us a thought, lessons, and from your experiences that not available elsewhere. So thank you for that, Paul.
Absolute
and I wish you the
pleasure.
best of luck, dear.
I'm honored. I'm complimented.
Thank
I'm
you.
very privileged, and I'm grateful to the Almighty that we are blessed with this, and hopefully for many, many more, inshallah.
All right.
That's
a wrap.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, man. Have a nice evening.